Hello everyone, my name is Aldas, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about Kimi Raikkonen and why I think it has took him 6 years to win another Grand Prix. Now don't forget, if you like the video then subscribe, and yeah, let's get into it. So obviously we've just had the United States Grand Prix at Austin, Texas, and the winner was Kimi Raikkonen. Surely no one saw this coming. It was a massive surprise, and a very, very good surprise. He is a massive favourite with the fans, and for good reason. He's just so funny, so relaxed, and we've known this throughout Kimi's entire career. I mean, he's been loved by the fans, dubbed of course the Iceman for just being as cold as ice when it comes to interviews. There's almost too many good interviews to run through for Kimi. I mean, you can get like a 20-minute montage of him being funny and all the phrases he says and doesn't say at the same time. So it was just fantastic to see him win another race. You know, of course he came back to Ferrari, and he's had a very, very dry spell in terms of wins. Of course, he's had some good performances and a couple of pole positions in the last couple of years. But yeah, it was just so surreal to see him win again. I honestly did not think it was going to happen. I thought, you know, maybe there's a slight chance he might get one this season. But to be honest, after the halfway point and after seeing how strong Vettel was at the start of the season, I thought there's just no way. So it was fantastic to see him and do it on pure performance. You know, he didn't fluke it. He didn't luck out. He qualified well, qualified third. And it's definitely been coming. This has been one of his best seasons ever, and definitely his best season in the last, half a decade for sure. And it is just crazy to think that the gap between his last two wins was 2,044 days. 6 years since 2013 in Australia, where he was driving for Lotus in the time. And in this video, I'm just going to really quickly talk about my opinion on why I think that is. Because there's no denying that he is a quality driver. And he proved it as soon as he came back into Formula 1 in his second career, sort of in 2012, coming back to Lotus, thoroughly beating Romain Grosjean, and Romain was actually very strong in that 2013 season especially, but Kimi, he just came, both years he actually got a win. Of course in 2012 he won in Abu Dhabi, again another famous Kimi Raikkonen moment, leave me alone, I know what I'm doing, classic Kimi moment, and we love some of them now, don't we? And then 2013 he won the first race, and that was a real shock, by the way, for me. And sadly, I don't think he got any more sort of, well, there was definitely no big results for the rest of that season, maybe a couple of podiums. Vettel definitely dominated in that season, and that's just the thing. I mean, we forget how long the gap has been. I mean, what has happened in the last 6 years in Formula 1? I mean, we've seen a 4-time consecutive world champion in Vettel. We've seen the Mercedes domination in, of course, with Lewis Hamilton, Nico Rosberg. Rosberg retiring. I mean, we forget. And of course, the 20,000 crashes that Vettel's had in the last 6 years as well. But don't worry about them. But yeah, it's just, you know, it's crazy to think how long it's been. And I think, you know, it all started when he came back to Ferrari. Because at the time, of course, 2014, after having those 2 good seasons with Lotus, he came back to Ferrari to replace Felipe Massa and came against Fernando Alonso. And that's the thing I think about Kimi, is that he is a great racing driver. Don't get me wrong. No, there's absolutely no doubt about it. But he has come up in the last definitely 5 years against some of the best drivers ever in Formula 1 in Fernando Alonso and Sebastian Vettel in terms of speed and consistency and ability to win titles. So I think, you know, if you think about it, it all started in 2014, and then of course you only had that one season with Fernando Alonso. But again, that was a very struggling Ferrari, and it was never ever going to win any races, and Fernando was a pure legend to even get on the podium in some of them. So you can see how that went. And then when you get to the Vettel era, he came up against an incredible racing driver in Sebastian Vettel, who was so invigorated by this Ferrari move that clearly gave him so much more motivation. And Kimi, for the most part, was competing very well against Sebastian, but couldn't quite hold on to the back of his car to really make him the number 1 driver in Ferrari. You know, we've all known that in the past 4 years, it has been Sebastian Vettel who has been the number 1 driver, purely out of consistency, in my opinion. But then we get to 2017, and the first time where Ferrari really can challenge for a championship. And once again, I think it's the consistency that has let Kimi Raikkonen down. His speed is undeniable. No one can argue about that. But I think it was David Coulthard that once said, you don't lose the speed, you lose the need. And I think that is what Kimi Raikkonen in some cases has lost. And I think people actually slag off, especially Sebastian Vettel, so much. And I've seen loads of people say, oh, you know, it should be Sebastian Vettel that should be dropped and Kimi Raikkonen should stay, you know, just after Kimi's had 1 win. I mean, people forget that as I say every single video, I'm pretty sure, the key to winning championships is consistency. I always say, literally, I think I've said this in every single video I've ever made, literally. Consistency is everything. You can have the speed in the world, but if you can't consistently produce results like Sebastian Vettel did in the first part of the season, that's very important, in the first part of the season, then you're never going to win championships. And I think that's what Kimi Raikkonen did struggle with in 2017 in particular. Just never looked like he had the consistency. He did get a couple of good results, of course, the podium and pole position in Monaco, and then of course a couple more podiums in that season as well. He was denied the win. Of course, Vettel was sort of pushed forward a little bit instead of Raikkonen to win by Ferrari, maybe through team orders and strategy. It's undeniable that some of Kimi's strategy, which is of course by Ferrari, has been ludicrous, but it has been there for a reason, because he just never looked like he had the consistency to win the title. So of course you've got to be smart and realise who your number one driver is. So I think that is definitely a massive reason why Kimi hasn't been able to win a race, is due to Ferrari not allowing him to, because they chose Vettel to be the guy who they want to win the championship. Now, when we move on to this season, I think it's been a completely different story. Kimi has definitely had the consistency, especially towards the mid-season. There was a really good run of podiums, but again, not a run of race wins. He's only had a run of podiums, and I think that has really let him down. And at the end of the day, you know, with Vettel's form now dropping completely, I mean, he's took a nosedive. With so many comeback drives by Vettel, it's just ridiculous. Kimi has definitely snapped up the opportunity and, you know, got the pole position in Monza. I think he should have converted it, but Ferrari, I think their strategy in Monza was a little bit ludicrous with Kimi. He clearly could not manage his tyres. And there have been a couple of moments this season where he definitely could have won races, but there's also been moments where he has really screwed up for himself, especially in qualifying. He has not been able to put it together for many races, as we already know. So I think that's the thing with Kimi. He's always had the speed, and he has always had this natural talent and ability. We all know that. I mean, if you look at his first part of the career, he had one of the best races of all time in the 2005 Japanese Grand Prix. So it's undeniable. But he has not had the consistency and the need to win championships that his teammate has. And the criticisms that, you know, it should be Vettel that's dropped and Raikkonen that should be kept up for 2019 just don't stand up with me. I think Ferrari did make the right decision by putting Leclerc in, because it brings a bit more excitement into the sport and a whole fresh new vibe to Ferrari as well, and I can't wait to see that. I'll be making loads more videos about that. But as far as Kimi Raikkonen, it's still not the end of the road for him. Of course, we'll see him in Sauber Alfa Romeo, where I am so excited. I've already made a video about why I think the Giovinazzi and Raikkonen pairing is a really good one, so check that out. I'll link that for sure. And I cannot wait to see what Kimi does next season, because in my opinion, maybe this will reinvigorate him, you know, being right at the back of the grid and trying to push Alfa Romeo forward, and also be a good little send-off for him, because I do think he'll have to, obviously, be retiring in a couple of years. I can't wait to see what Kimi Raikkonen can do, basically. But once again, with all the criticism that I've sort of had of Kimi Raikkonen in the past couple of years of not being consistent enough and not being quick enough in some races, I will say from the bottom of my heart, it was incredible to see him win the American Grand Prix. Just seeing him on the podium, I'll definitely miss him. I think we're in such a good time. I don't think people realise what a time we are, with such legends like Alonso and Hamilton and Vettel and Kimi Raikkonen as well. You know, these are absolute legends of the sport, and soon they're going to be gone. In about 5 years' time, they could all be gone. And I think we're really going to miss them, and especially Kimi Raikkonen, one of the funniest people, and just, he's on social media as well now. I mean, that is the best thing about 2018 history. Kimi Raikkonen on social media is just absolutely incredible. I never thought that would happen, but yeah, it was incredible to see him win. I hope he wins even more races throughout the season, and yeah, I cannot wait to see him next year as well. But yeah, guys, that's just my opinion. But what do you think about Kimi Raikkonen? Why do you think it has took him 6 years to win a race, especially while racing for Ferrari? Drop your comments in the box below, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe. I really hope to get 1,000 subscribers before Christmas. That would be amazing. We've already surpassed 500 easily, and I cannot wait to reach that 1,000 mark and do something special for that as well for you. So yeah, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and all of that good stuff. And yeah, thank you very much for watching.